Hello. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon. Welcome to Institute of Global Professionals International Free Webinar. Today we have 235 morning session, which is held on October 31, and already we have successfully completed 234 webinars. Today I'm not going to share anything about IGP because in my observation today we have a unique topic, and also when I read something behind of the screen on that time I saw today we have someone special as a guest, like Sir Sukhdev Singh. Dr. Sukhdev Singh was born, brought up, and education in Delhi. He is currently an assistant professor at the Department of Humanities and Social Studies, National Institute of Technology (NIT) Patna, where he teaches English. He is also certified in online teaching by UNSW Sydney, the University of North South Wales, through Coursera. He earned degrees of PhD, MPhil, and MA from the Jawaharlal Nehru University, New Delhi. Before joining NIT in 2013, he taught at the Center for English Studies, Jawaharlal Nehru University, and the University of Delhi as a guest faculty. He works primarily in the domain of gender and sexuality studies with a trust of literature, religion, and science and technology studies. So this is the main point when I found something that is gender and sexuality studies, which is very important nowadays. So definitely, this is my opinion. Based on that title, we can invite Sir Sukhdev Singh again and again because this topic is too much relevant with our learners. So no more right now, no more in my voice. So I'm just going to welcome our speakers, Dr. Sukhdev Singh. Hello, sir.
Hello.
Sir, I'm not professional host. I'm not professional host. Just want to trying to say something. So forgive me. Now this floor is yours, sir. So take care of our learners right now.
Okay. Thank you, Kaushik.
Thank you,
Uh,
sir.
yeah. Before I start, first of all, I would like to, convey my thanks to my friend Amitabh Vikram Dwivedi, who was the person who suggested my name to IGP, Institute of Global Professionals, Kaushik Datta. So first, thanks go to my friend, and after that, I would like to thank IGP and Kaushik Datta for giving me this opportunity, for considering my name, right? And the third person that I'd like to give my thanks to is one of my professors, Professor Shagata Bhaduri. Why his name is important? Because he was the person at JNU through whom I learned a lot of theory. So whenever I do anything to do with theory, so he's the person whose name I remember. So and obviously not just that he has been a great professor, a great teacher, but also a great friend. Always able to help students and even those who are no longer his students, them also. Right. So these are three people who deserve thanks today, and obviously in future also. So let's straight away now begin this brief study of women on YouTube. And first of all, I would like to say that this is just a sketch of certain ideas. So these ideas are still in development. That is, they are not the final word. I am still doing the research. Okay, so these are just a sketch of certain ideas, which through IGP I got the opportunity and I'm presenting here. So first of all, let me just start by saying that in this presentation, whenever the word woman or women is mentioned, so for the you know, for the convenience of the listeners here, audience here. So for them, I would like to say that the word woman or women here means a married female. So whenever I'm talking about woman or women in this presentation, it means married female. So females who are married. And I've carried out, although it's a global phenomenon, but still my emphasis or my object of study have been Indian women who are married, and most probably they don't work in the outside world, they stay at home. So when I say married female or women or married women, so what it means is it indicates towards the institution of marriage. So the first thing that we understand about a married female or married woman is that it indicates towards the institution of marriage and family. So these two institutions which are interrelated, right? So the moment we come to this aspect, that it is referring to their status as being married is referring to the institution of marriage and institution of family, we simply come to understand somehow we are talking about the social order. And this idea of social order you can also read in Nivedita Menon's book called Seeing Like a Feminist. So over there you can see she is talking about the social order, although this idea of social order is not Menon's alone, which means she is referring to it in the book, but this has been in existence as long as let's say human beings, since the first human beings started organizing themselves in societies. So social order, which means that somehow if we focus on, let's say Asia, especially the Indian subcontinent, including Bangladesh, Pakistan, right? So in this what we see is that the social order here is somehow a responsibility of the women. That is, the organization of the social order is on women. We will come to know how this is possible, or what it means in the presentation as we go along. So what is the meaning of if I focus on the title, so what is the meaning of women on the web? By calling or by saying that women on the web, what I want to convey here is that these married women, that's why over here I'm showing this icon of women with kid in their lap. Okay, so the married women and their participation and the active use of information and communications technology, right? So when I talk about women on the web in this presentation, it means those married women who have been using information and communications technology, right? For instance, is it changing? Did it change? Did the screen change? Okay, sorry. So what I mean is that women who have been participating and actively using information and communications technology, for instance, computers, the internet, mobile phone, camera, right? And they are creating content. They are doing something about it. Chiefly among all these technologies, we have now very ubiquitous kind of technology, which is our cell phone and the camera in the cell phone. So these are the technologies which these women have been using. The women who are on the web, so these women have been using mobile phone and camera in order to produce content. Okay, and it has a wide ranging repercussions or positive effects. We will come to know what positive effects there are. Now, as I already mentioned, that it is a global trend, which means it's not specific to India or Indian subcontinent, Bangladesh, Pakistan, etc., but it is a global phenomenon. So if you check female YouTubers on YouTube, you will see all sorts of women creating all sorts of content, whether it's about cooking recipes, whether it's about photography, right? Whether it's about unboxing of different products, whether it is about just the usual, everyday life. And my focus in this presentation will be the everyday life of these women. So it is a global trend which is happening wherever women are able to use a cell phone, a mobile phone, and its camera with the internet on it. So wherever this kind of technology is, wherever ICT or information and communication technologies are present, women are utilizing it for themselves and creating a very positive kind of a change, not just in their life, but in their society also. And we will come to know what change it is. So it is a global trend. American women do it, Russians do it, Europeans do it, Asians do it, all sorts of women are doing. The only qualification or requirement that they need is a cell phone with a camera and internet connection on it. That's it. So, first thing that we need to cover over here is the idea of space. So, what is the idea of space? Space, we will see that space can be divided in two parts, right? So, the first part of the space we call as intimate space. Sometimes we also call it private space. Although I have very strong ideas on privacy, so maybe we'll touch upon that also. But I've called it the intimate space. Why I've called it the intimate space? And this is the space of the house, your own personal space, the space of the house, your own personal space, right? It is the intimate space. It is the intimate space because all sorts of activities which are very intimate to us, for instance, sleeping in bed, this is very intimate kind of an activity, right? So that's why this space, rather than calling it a private space, I've called it as intimate space because all sorts of intimate activities are done. You can include your whole existence within this intimate space, right? So this is one type of space. Another space I've called it formal space. Formal, or you may call it public, you may also call it you know um, official space. So these are the two spaces. Although these two spaces have been divided and have been placed in opposition to each other, gradually through this presentation you will see that these two spaces, the boundary, I try to show boundary with this lightning sign. So this boundary that exists between these two spaces, intimate and formal space, you will gradually see that this boundary is blurring. Okay, although it's not blurred completely, but still somehow these women are trying to blur the boundaries. So the formal space or the public space or the official space. So this space is that space of action. Okay, this space is that space where when you work, when you put in your labor, you get paid for it. But as far as intimate space is concerned, over there, if you do the labor, obviously, all these women who are not employed, let's say, they work in the home from sweeping, mopping, washing clothes to taking care of children, right? So, all these works, cooking, right? So, all this work that they do, it is not accounted for, it is not counted, it does not become a part of a nation's GDP. And these women are also not get paid for it, they're not paid for it, right? So these are the two spaces with their clear demarcation and clear characteristics. But my focus will be the intimate space, the space which women occupy, the space which actually is put on the shoulders of these women, right? So this is the space on which I will focus in this presentation. So you see that in the intimate space, it is a traditional circumscribing of these women. These women have been, I mean, all women in a sense, So women have been circumscribed within this intimate space, right? And this intimate space is the space of the household. And the chief characteristic of this space you will see is the household chores. This is what the focus of this presentation will be, especially with reference to the YouTube women on YouTube. So household chores, as already said, they are not counted, they are not accounted in a nation's GDP. Women don't get paid for it. Okay. And therefore, the household chores in the intimate space or any work done in the intimate space by these women actually is traditionally called not productive. So it is not seen as productive, because what is productive? When I go to my office, I teach students. When I go to my office, I supervise PhDs, right? So this will bear some fruit. This will bring some produce, right? So that work is traditionally categorized as productive. But if my mother stays at home, she is not doing the kind of work in the outside work world that I do. Although, as a matter of fact, my mother has always done, you know, the formal work. She has always been employed, okay, since the very beginning. But I'm just giving you an example. So if my mother stays at home and she is not employed, then whatever she will do, that work will not be called productive. So the women who perform different household chores within the intimate space or any work done in the intimate space will not be considered or is not considered traditionally as productive. Okay, that's why they don't become part of the national wealth, GDP, right? And therefore, household chores or any work that is done in the household is not called labor, so to say. So it is not called labor. Okay, so this work is not called labor, and therefore they are not paid for it. Okay, since this work traditionally does not generate anything. Okay, right? And women are also not paid for it, right? Right, that's why they are not paid for it also, right? And we call this work not labor, but for the timing, household chores, or sometimes we also call this space, sorry, it just a work. Okay, not, we call it as household chores. We also call it as just the work, but not labor. So that's the basic difference between labor and work, or household chores and work, or any work undertaken within the intimate space. Okay, so the difference is that it is not labor, because we don't get, or women don't get paid for it. Okay, so the home, the space of the home or house is the intimate space, right? And why this is intimate space? It is intimate space because everyone, including other members of the house, whether they are males, children, old people, right, our elders, right, so they live intimately. All Most of the activities that we perform within the house are intimate activities. Okay, right? Whether it is eating, whether it is defecating, whether it is, having sex. Okay, so all these activities are very intimate activities. Okay, so this is what we need to keep in mind if we want to distinguish between intimate and the formal space or the official space, right? So including the sexual activities, that's why space of the home is called intimate. Even the very act of eating or sleeping, okay, even that, those acts are also intimate acts. Now now what are the characteristics of intimate space? The characteristics of intimate space we can see in two ways. The first is privacy. Okay, the intimate space, because my focus is the intimate space, not the formal space. So the focus of intimate space is that it remains private. Okay, it does not come out, in a sense. Okay, so this space is private space. There is a belief in all of us that our home is the most sacrosanct or the most private place. Over there, we can do whatever we want to do. Okay, so there is privacy, okay, in the home. Although this idea is also now getting defeated, whether we are able to maintain privacy in our homes or not. Okay, because of the very ICT, right? The very information and communications technology, privacy of the home is also being hurt. But at the moment, I'm not going in that direction. Okay. I'm going in this direction, that the first characteristic of intimate space of home is that it is considered or supposed to be private. Okay. So the space is supposed to be private. Second idea that we come to know about intimate space is naked freedom. I've used the term naked freedom, which simply means that in the intimate space of our homes, we are free up to this extent that we could be living naked also inside our houses. It does not really matter. It does not really affect anybody. And in any case, if I put it slightly crudely, when we go to take bath in our bathrooms, right? So that's a naked activity, right? So up to that level, we can be free. And if you talk about freedom, freedom has to be absolute. Okay, freedom has to be freedom up to the level of being naked. Okay, so these are the two characteristics of intimate space, that there is a supposed privacy and we are free up to the extent that we can live naked in our houses. Okay, so these are two characteristics, these are two chief characteristics for the time being. Okay, but what is the significance or what implication do we get out of these two characteristics? The implication we come to know about is that the naked freedom that we are talking about, naked freedom at the moment, this naked freedom is actually enveloped and protected or ensured by the idea of privacy, because the intimate space is protected and ensured by the privacy. That's why naked freedom is possible, right? If we knew that somebody is watching us while we are performing our intimate activities in the house, then obviously we won't feel free, or perhaps we won't be doing that activity. We will become afraid, because the intimate space is considered private, and this privacy actually envelopes and ensures our naked freedom. That's why we can perform all these intimate activities. So these are the two implications and characteristics of intimate space. Kaushik, please also keep me reminding if I'm going ahead of time, because I might forget the sense of time. So let's move forward.
Sorry, you can take your time, no problem.
Now, now let us see what what is the role of women in the intimate space, or what do they actually do in the intimate space. And again, when I say women, again, they are the married women, and most of them are not employed women. Okay, they are not employed. Okay, so what do women do in the intimate space? The first role that is put on their shoulder is household chores. Okay, doing all sorts of activities: sweeping, mopping, cooking, cutting vegetables, right? Making the bed, making tea, right? So all these activities, right? So these are the household chores. Another activity or the role that women perform in the intimate space is the act of sex, right? So in most traditional societies, it is the responsibility of women that they need to engage in the act of sex and bear fruit in the form of children. Okay, so the act of sex. So these are the two, primary, roles or ideas which exist in the intimate space vis-a-vis women, right? So, in the act of sex, you will see that household chores include cooking, cleaning, and washing. I picked up these three activities primarily, and the act of sex includes procreation and rearing of children, right? So both these type of activities are the responsibility of these women in the intimate space. Now, again, what you will see is that in as already mentioned, in the intimate space, these are the household chores that women do, right? For instance, cooking, for instance, cleaning, and also washing. Okay, washing of clothes, even washing of themselves, washing of their own children, washing of different clothing articles, etc., right? So this is the kind of work that these women do, and women in general do, right? So over here, what we come to know, that these are the activities, and by their very nature, because these are the activities in the intimate space, and by their nature also, you will see these activities are intimate, right? Although so far nobody will pay attention to these activities. What is it? I mean, it's a boring work. If we if we uh, view it from another angle, it's a boring work. Somebody is just doing the usual work of chopping the vegetables and cooking. A woman is doing that, right? Or maybe she's just bending a little and then cleaning the table or mopping or washing clothes, right? It's a boring boring kind of usual task that women perform, especially the married women who don't work outside, they perform, right? Right, so it is that task which is considered very boring, but somehow you will see this presentation views these very tasks, these household chores, in the sense of intimate activities. First of all, why? Because these activities happen within the intimate space. And now, also, why these activities are intimate? Because the activity that we perform in our office, what do? We dress up properly. Okay, if you are a man, I'll give you an example of a western man. Let's say the man will just put on a tie, a proper suit, right? Iron clothes, proper shoes, right? So we'll be having a bag. So this kind of a traditional attire cannot be worn while performing household chores, right? So by their very nature, household chores like cooking, cleaning, and washing are of intimate nature, because these are the intimate activities, right? So these are the intimate nature. These are of intimate nature, and what you come to know is they have been made more attractive, they have been turned into very attractive by these women on YouTube, right? So to obviously to attract attention also, you will see, I mean, in general also, when somebody is mopping, so see the posture, you can see the body posture. So that body posture in itself is a very sexual posture, right? So in that sense also, by the way it is visible to our eyes, in that sense also, you will see that it is a very intimate kind of a work. Okay, so that's why we are calling household chores not as boring but as intimate. And on YouTube, in order to grab attention also, right? So these women have made these activities very interesting, although they were very boring, by perhaps exposing their bodies to the viewers so that the viewership is increased, by perhaps monetizing their videos, and to get more economic benefit, to earn from YouTube videos, they need to also expose, they need to also create that chink into their a very deep chink into their deepest and private lives, right? And practically also, you cannot wear a suit and then do the household work, and the very nature of the household work is very intimate. So all these activities, these primary activities which come under household chores, you will see are very are of very intimate nature, right? And in these activities, what women on YouTube do, they have a mobile phone, they fix the mobile phone, and then they are just doing their activities. Okay, so in the world wide web, which means the public space, web is a public space, so in the world wide web you will see this opening up of the intimate space. So over here we see, as viewers, what we get is we get a glimpse of the private lives of these YouTubers. Okay, not just what intimate sort of work they do, but also exposition to their body, revelation of their body. Because in any case, these works cannot be completed in a fully dressed, kind of, dressing, right? So in this, what we come to know is that somehow the private or the intimate space, it will change. Somehow, what we come to know is that private or the intimate space, uh, you know, uh, is now exposed. Private or the intimate space is exposed to the public world, to the official world or the formal world through the technology, right? So, in another book, Gender and Politics in India, edited by Nivedita Menon, so she also mentions that there should not be any opposition between technology. That is, we need not oppose the technology as far as work is concerned. Okay, so we don't need to oppose the technology. Over here, what women are doing, they're using ICT, information and communications technology, using a mobile phone device, using its camera, and using internet. By using these things and adding some and spicing it up by exposing their body to the viewer, they are in a sense utilizing technology and monetizing the very mundane activity of mopping the floor or washing their clothes, right? So somehow it is turning their work or household chores into an activity of labor for which they also get paid through YouTube, depending on viewership, depending on subscription, okay, and depending on whether they have monetized the channel or not, right? So in this sense, the household chores which were of no use earlier, okay, through the use of technology, because technology need not be opposed, it can be utilized properly. Through the use of technology, now they are converting the work or the household chores into labor, and they are also bringing the private world, their own private world, to the public. In this sense, they are also blurring the boundary between the intimate space and the official or formal space or the public space. So what we get to see here is women who were unemployed, in a sense, women who were unproductive. Although as a scholar of gender and sexuality studies, I don't think that the intimates the work performed in the intimate space is unproductive. Okay, it is not unproductive, it should be accounted, okay, it should be paid for, right? But somehow it is not get paid. Okay, so what they are doing is that unaccounted work is being accounted by them, and it is now somehow breaking that sexual division boundary, right? Division of labor, sexual division of labor. So they are now breaking it. Okay, they're now breaking it, and women's intimate work, women's intimate household chores, women's work in the intimate space, it is now also becoming private, because they are bringing this work, this mundane, non-interesting, boring work, and creating it into an interesting work and bringing it to the public space of the world wide web, right? Right, and this is what they are doing as far as household chores are concerned. Let's move to the next slide now. Okay, so the second aspect, we talked about women and the act of sex. So in this, two elements we spoke about: procreation and rearing of children. So this responsibility is also on women. In most traditional societies, what we come to understand is that after marriage there has to be a child. And if you focus especially on Indian subcontinent societies, even Asia as a whole, so a woman in traditional society, after marriage, she must then bear fruits in the form of children. And once the children are born, it is the responsibility of woman to give total attention. If a woman was working, okay, once she gets pregnant and once she starts once she starts once she delivers the babies, then obviously she will have to discontinue her job. She will discontinue the job, and then she will have to give full time on rearing of children, right? So these are the other two acts. I mean, the other aspect of the intimate space which the women perform, and of whose responsibility is on women's shoulders, right? Although this aspect is also now monetized, that is, women are using YouTube and also recording their pregnancy, also recording breastfeeding, also recording how they are taking care of their children, how they are attentive to their children, how they are rearing their children, right? And they are also sharing their interpersonal or marital relationship with their husband, right? So all these things are also being recorded and put on the world wide web in the public domain, right? So these things are also being done, and these activities are also being monetized on YouTube, which means these activities which were mundane or not productive, they are also being now made productive by women, because they are actively participating in information and communication technologies and actively putting it to use, okay, for making. And you will see there are several famous YouTubers also, women YouTubers also, right? So but my focus is not the act of sex, procreation, or rearing of children here. My focus is the household chores. And in this, you will see that procreation is mandatory. This is what we need to understand in a traditional society. So, procreation is mandatory, and so is rearing of children. Now, now let us move to another slide, and now let us see the origin or the etymological origin of the word chore, chore, which becomes part of household chores. So the meaning of the word chore has originated from char or chair, char, okay. So it is related, chore is related to char or chare. It is related to this, which means char woman, okay. So the word chore etymologically is related to char or chair, chare. And these two words mean char woman. They are used as char woman, especially with a woman. Okay. So it is used like that. Okay, char woman. What is the meaning of char woman? The meaning of char woman is that a woman who is employed as a cleaner in a house or office, right? So char woman means a woman who does the job of cleaning in an office or in a house. Okay. So when we talk about, and then there is another word for it. Um, the interrelated word is femme de ménage, which has come from French, femme de ménage. Femme de ménage means a woman who manages. Menage here means manage. So a woman who manages, right? In other words, in English, femme de ménage will mean a housekeeper, right? So when we see women in relation to household chores, this is what the meaning that emerges, that a woman in the intimate space performing intimate activities, household chores, or whether act of sex. Okay, so that woman is actually a woman whose primary existence or job is to do the cleaning of the house. Okay, just like any other servant. So this is the idea that gets conveyed in a traditional society. What women on YouTube are doing is they are actually destroying this idea of household chores. What they are doing is they're destroying this idea of household chore by making it attractive, by exposing it to the public world, and by monetizing these very mundane activities, boring activities. Okay, so what they are doing is they are actually coming out of that servile existence and now becoming independent and earning women. Okay, creating a space for themselves just by doing the usual work which they used to do without being paid. Okay, if you have ever watched these videos of women who are just doing the mopping and sweeping, they don't do anything, they don't do editing. If I put up a video on YouTube, I will have to do huge amount of editing on my iMac. Okay, but they don't do anything. The camera angle, because I do photography also, I'm interested in photography also, so I know about camera angles and everything. I know about how camera works. So their mobile phone is perhaps fixed on a tripod. It's sitting on one corner, and in the another corner, the woman is just doing her work. Okay, making the bed, doing the mopping. Okay, or perhaps talking to her kids, right? Or perhaps just lying on the bed, okay, and talking. This is what they do. Okay, this is what they do. So just by doing these activities, by using ICT in a very proper and very efficient way, they are turning their traditional role to which they were subjected into something else. Okay, into something by which they can earn money also, by which they can actually build their subjectivity, if we put it in that way. So the traditional meaning of household chores has been inverted, has been changed by these women. Okay, so it is no longer that, it is now different. Okay, right? So but if we see it in traditional way, right, so we see that what is the difference between a char woman and a married woman in the house. The woman, the difference is that the married woman does not get paid. So this does not get paid aspect of their integral part of their existence is what these women on YouTube are changing. Now, since my objective here is to focus on the uh, focus on the household chores, which include cooking, cleaning, and washing. Okay, so I'm only focusing on these activities, right? So when we watch these videos, we come to know that household chores is a matter of 24/7 work. That is, at any point in time, any member of her family can just ask for making a cup of tea, and she will have to make, if she's a married woman, right? Whether she's your wife or she's your mother, right? So she will have to perform that, right? So it is a 24-hour work, 24/7 hour work. There is no holiday. Has any one of us heard that our mothers or our wives told us that this Saturday Sunday I am taking a holiday from household chores? No, it has never ever happened. I think it has never ever happened in the history of human societies that women said, I am taking holiday Saturday Sunday, my holiday. My holiday from my work, from my teaching work, is Saturday and Sunday. That's my weekend. But maybe it is not my wife's holiday, maybe it is not my mother's holiday, right? So household chores, when we come to see through these women, we come to know, because these women are not just recording themselves. Sometimes women are just recording, and they are not narrating in it, but sometimes these women are also narrating their story. So narration of one story also makes an important point about building their subjectivity, right? So we come to know that this is a 24/7 work. There is no holiday as far as household chores are considered. Okay, there is no holiday. They don't go on holiday. They will have to do it because they have been fixed in it, and the responsibility of functioning, smooth functioning of the social order, that the house goes on functioning as it has been since several ages, right, is on women. So that's why they are not given any holiday for this. They are not paid for it. Okay, so it is a 24/7 work. There is no holiday. So through their narrative on YouTube, you come to know about it. And second thing that you come to know about it is that it is a very long procedure. Okay, how is it a long procedure? Every day a woman will have to wake up around 4 or 4:30, even before 5. Okay, 4 or 4:30 she would wake up, whether she is a woman who has a large family, whether she is a woman who lives in a nuclear family, that is husband wife live. Okay, so she will have to wake up, and then the process or procedure and planning will start. Planning she will have to do at least one day before. If next day is a holiday, she will plan it before that day. She will have to plan, okay, which vegetable or meat or fish will my husband like, so she will be cooking that. Okay, then she will also plan other things, whether they need to go out or not. Okay, whether some ration in the home needs to be filled or not. Okay, so a lot of planning is done, and when the actual day will come, the entire procedure of cutting the vegetables, washing, cutting, and then cooking, okay, and then putting them safely in serving pots, and after that she will be serving it, right? And after serving she will be washing the utensils. So it's a long procedure. Household chore is a long procedure, right? And one more thing that she needs to also keep in mind is, this is what I come to know about the narrative of women on YouTube, and also the personal experiences that I've had, right? While doing research, and while becoming aware as a student of gender and sexuality studies, you come to know about various things which your mother or your wife never told you, right? Which you come to know about reading, and then obviously based, and then you analyze your own experiences, right? So long planning is to be done. And another thing that they have to do, which is very important, is the liking or disliking of the family members, especially the husband. I've used here only husband. So she will have to also check what food to cook, which will be tasty for the husband. So she will have to not think about herself. She thinks about what my husband will like. Okay, so this also is the responsibility of the woman. Okay, and after cooking, it's serving and then washing of the utensils, which is also a very difficult task if we see it. Okay, it's very difficult. It's not easy to just eat and then wash. I mean, after having a belly full of meal, a person would simply feel drowsy. The person would like to just hit the bed. But women are not allowed to do that. They will have to wash the utensils, then wipe them, and then put them in their places. Okay, interestingly, these women on YouTube, they also talk about what they are wearing while making these videos, while cooking, etc. So they would also talk about what they are wearing. Okay, about their sari, or whichever type of dress that they have worn. Okay, so they would talk about those things also, right? They would also talk about their own liking and disliking. Okay, whether she likes this kind of food or that kind of food, whether she likes to wear sari or not. Okay, or what other activities is there which she likes to do. So this we come to know when we watch these videos, that they build a proper narrative about themselves. And this building of narrative, this giving a glimpse into their private personal life, their intimate life, this is what very important becomes, because it goes on to build their subjectivity. It goes on to add importance to the mundane and uninteresting work that they have been doing since ages. Let's move to next slide. Right now, let's come to the cleaning. Okay, cleaning. This is very very dirty kind of work. When we clean something, so everybody's leftovers and all those things needs to be cleaned. Okay, somebody cleans the toilet, bathroom, right? Toilet and bathroom. So it's not easy. Okay, and it's the dirty work actually. Compare a woman in the house cleaning toilet and bathroom with a person sitting in his office. Okay, so see the type of thing. So when she will be cleaning, she will obviously be doing the dirty work. So it falls on a woman's shoulder to clean the dirtiness of the house. Okay, to cleanse it properly. Okay, so there is a term called deep cleaning. This term also I came to know through study of these YouTube women. So deep cleaning means that you have to clean it properly. Okay, from one corner of the house to another corner. Okay, which means the whole 24 hours could be spent in it. But then she will not be spending the whole 24 hour just cleaning, because there are other activities also that she needs to perform, cooking, etc., right? Sending children to school, etc., right? So she needs to take time out of it for deep cleaning. Okay, and mostly you will see they will use the Sunday. Okay, they will use the Sunday for deep cleaning, because on that day at least other members of their family are on holiday, so she could uh, you know uh, um, she will not be worried about sending them to their different offices. Okay, and cleaning work starts early, just like cooking work, it starts early. And cleaning work is also considered never ending, because anytime a person eats something, and if there are kids in the home, you will see that cleaning happens again and again. The kid will eat this, throw this, right? So this thing happens again and again, but they have limited time. Okay, see the contrast. The contrast is that cleaning work is never ending, but they have limited time. So this is how they try to manage the time. Okay, they try to make a balance. Okay, and this balance they expose to the public world of the web. Okay, so limited time, but the work is a lot. Okay, not just these, not just these, but somehow you will also observe another thing, that these women also involve these children also, because sometimes children also just out of the way of playing with mother doing some work, they will also just start playing. Okay, so they will also try to help their mother. Okay, so this was the cleaning activity. Now we come to the washing activity. So the washing activity you will see is not just about washing of clothes and other excuse me, not just clothes and other things, but cleaning themselves also, right? So you will see that this also gives a glimpse to their personal life, and the camera is recording everything, and they have placed it camera on purpose. Either they are recording, sometimes I have also heard a male voice who is recording, so perhaps they are involving their husband also in this. And sometimes they're also telling their children to hold the camera and then record, right? So this thing also you can observe, but the camera is there. So over here you see that the cleaning or washing of the self is also there, caring of the self, caring of the family is also there, right? And the washing, like other intimate activities like cooking and cleaning, washing actually requires more physical strength from them. Okay, so it's almost like going to the gym. Okay, it's almost like going to the gym. So huge. If I give you reference to this photograph, so this woman was washing blanket. Blanket in any case is a heavy piece of clothing. Okay, right? So blanket is already heavy. When it is soaked in water, it becomes double heavy, right? So that's the amount of strength that they require. Okay, that's the amount of strength that they require. So it requires strength, physical strength, and it also requires patience, and it also requires diligence. That is the work, this intimate activity of washing different clothes and even taking care of herself needs to be done in very proper way, right? It requires diligence. It has to be done properly. You cannot wash clothes and say that it is still dirty. Okay, right? So in a sense, what we see is that as far as women in the intimate space performing intimate activities are concerned, they are actually purifying or cleansing the house. They are maintaining the cleanliness. Okay, they are doing that. Okay, in traditional atmosphere, it was an unproductive activity. It was an activity for which they were not being paid. But with the arrival of technology like internet, mobile phone, camera, and a platform, a very effective platform like YouTube, they are able to make it interesting by giving a glimpse into their personal life, and they are also able to monetize it and earn a living, and thereby try to blur the boundary between the official world, the public world, and the intimate world. Okay, so this credit actually goes to these women on YouTube, because the boundary, why do we create boundaries? If we ask this question, why do we at all create boundaries? What are the kind of boundaries that we have in our society? There are caste boundaries, there are religious boundaries, there are gender and sexual boundaries, there are hierarchical boundaries, right? Boss, student, teacher, right? So those boundaries are there. So boundaries in a society are created to maintain what Nivedita Menon, etc., have said: social order. Okay, everything is put in order, everything is hierarchized. So why these YouTube women are revolutionary? Because they are blurring the boundary between a very well defined social order of the public world and the personal world. That's why these YouTube women are revolutionary. Okay, and they are making this very mundane work very interesting, right? By exposing their body to the general public, whoever has access to YouTube, right? So these women are revolutionary in this sense because they are breaking the boundary. They are utilizing technology and making a living out of it, a very good living out of it. Okay, so to break boundaries is not easy. In our society, we won't be able to break religious boundaries or caste boundaries, especially in Indian subcontinent context, right? So these boundaries are almost immutable. You cannot break them. But these women are able to break this very primary, very strong boundary between the intimate world and the public world and the official or formal world, right? That's why these women are very important. That's why we must talk about these women in academic sense also, right? Now, what we come to know from this, what we come to know from this is that somehow, which I already have mentioned, that somehow there is a movement through these YouTube women. The movement is from the intimate space to the public or the formal space, right? So that is the movement. Okay, that movement is happening. So in this movement, what we see, what we have called is that household chores are the intimate acts. Okay, and these intimate acts are now on a path to the public space, right, by breaking the boundary between public and private. Okay, so this boundary is no longer applicable as far as these YouTube women are concerned. And because because the intimate space is private, so called private, it ensures it ensures that naked freedom that we have called. Okay, so the naked freedom which used to be part of or built in the intimate space, that has become part of the public or formal space also, through YouTube, through internet, through mobile phone with a camera. Okay, so that's the change which they have brought. That's the revolutionary change which has been brought. Okay, not just that the boundary is broken, the freedom, the naked freedom, which was very personal, it has become part of public discourse. Okay, that yes, these women can expose themselves, their body, in the public domain also, without any, let's say, negative consequences. So naked freedom, the absolute kind of a freedom, is also coming to the public domain. In the public domain, in the public space or the formal space, we don't have the naked freedom. Okay, if I refer to Michel Foucault, so in Michel Foucault, we my last presentation at a university was on Michel Foucault. So I just recall one idea from there. So in that presentation, one of the ideas of Michel Foucault was epistemes. So in epistemes, what epistemes was for Michel Foucault was that there are those unwritten rules which in society we have been following since ages. For instance, the example which is given is, why don't we go to our office naked? Okay, or when I came to do this presentation, why am I not without my t-shirt or shirt? Okay, so these are the ideas which have been ingrained in our mind even before we get born. So these are the epistemes, right? These ideas are the epistemes which everybody has to follow. So over here, through the use of technology, these women are actually breaking free of those epistemes. They are thinking beyond the epistemes. Okay, if we apply Foucault's idea of epistemes here, so by showing the naked freedom, by bringing the naked freedom in the public space, in the formal space, in the official space, these women are actually breaking free of that caging which has encaged us, right? Epistemes. So they are actually revolutionizing the world, okay, by bringing the absolute freedom. And by naked freedom, we can also understand it as absolute freedom. Okay, so this is what they are doing. That is, intimate space is moving from intimate space to public domain, right? In which we see that household chores are intimate acts and intimate acts are now turning into public acts, and therefore the naked freedom which was inbuilt inbuilt in the intimate space is now very much becoming part of the public domain, right? It is becoming part of the public domain. And by doing this, if we use Foucault's idea of epistemes here, they are breaking free of the epistemes, which is the age old episteme. Okay, let's move. So now finally, excuse me. So now finally we come to the end of the presentation. So what we see over here is, that for women's naked freedom, for a freedom which we view as naked freedom, for such a naked freedom, what we see is there are the building blocks which are required in very simple terms, which we have discussed here: a mobile phone with a camera, and internet connection. Only this much is required for naked freedom to achieve. That is, a mobile phone with a camera and internet and a platform like YouTube are those building blocks of, if we give reference to these women, of these women's naked freedom in public. Okay, so these are the building blocks. Not only these building blocks build the naked freedom in public, bring the idea of naked freedom to the public domain, but these are the very building blocks also of these women's subjectivity and self. Okay, which kind of self? The self which is productive, the self which produces fruitful results, the self which makes them employed because they earn revenues from their YouTube videos, right? So it is a building block. These are the building blocks in this sense also, not just of the naked freedom but also women themselves. Thank you very much. I'm done. Kaushik, I'm done.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for your beautiful presentation based on
I've
participants.
stopped sharing now.
Sure. Based on the
Okay.
participants' comment, this they're already feeling happy with your topics.
Okay, thank you.
So today we don't have any quiz competition. Actually, sorry for that. Today we don't have any quiz competition. So now we are directly moving with our Q and A. So dear participants, now the next part is Q and A. Okay, then we are waiting for question. Dear participants, it's a cordial request. If you have any question to our speakers, please ask in the comment box. We will pick in the to should show that to our speaker.
One more thing I actually forgot to tell in this presentation. Okay, one question. What do you think of this? Okay. So this question about, I'll just read out the question. Uh, what do you think are sorry? Have been always women have always been marginalized. What do you think are the solid steps the government can do to empower women? Thanks. Actually, I'm not sure what to say or what to give to the government. I'm not sure what to tell the government do these things, these steps, but very basics can be done. For instance, the idea of naked freedom that I spoke about, or the idea of personal freedom that exists in our time, right? So maybe education and the freedom, because women can think for themselves also rather than other people telling them. uh, Maybe these kind of things can be done, right? But I'm not sure, because I'm not in that position to tell the government to do this or that. But as far as my understanding is considered, if women are properly educated, right, they can build their own subjectivities, and they can actually build their own life, right, and they can empower themselves through education and through the opportunities from the system, because opportunities also need to be given. So give them proper education, okay, and then let them uh, and also give them opportunities so that they can build themselves into whatever they want to. I hope I answered it, but I'm not in any position to actually give suggestion to government, right?
That's true. That's true.
But thank you for the question.
Thanks, ma'am Jinalin, for your question. We are waiting for the question, but still nothing here in the comment section. Dear participants, if you have any question regarding our today's topic, please, it's a cordial request. Please put into the comment section.
There was one idea, Kaushik, I forgot to tell in this presentation.
Sure,
That
sir,
idea
sure.
was what gender is actually, right? So,
Hmm.
so for instance, if I give my own example, I'm a scholar of gender, right? But I can still not be performing gender properly if I'm not a practitioner of gender. What I mean is, when we analyze these women, or let's say even based on our own experiences in in our own homes with our mothers and sisters and wives, so you will see that gender is all about practice. Gender is not about theory. Okay, so gender is all about practice. If I don't help my wife in the household chores, I cannot call myself as a as an expert of gender. Do you understand? Gender is all about practice. This is what was the idea that I forgot. So it is about practice. If you don't help your wife or your mother or your sister in the household chores, right? So you are not an expert on gender. And this I've learned through my married life, actually. Okay, so through the experience. Anyways, next question has
And
come.
that's the point, sir.
Yeah,
Anyone can learn after marriage.
yeah. Am I supposed to read out the question, or you will do
No,
that?
no, sir. This is the new one.
Okay, so I need to read out, right? Okay,
Sir,
so the next question is, you made mention that intimate acts of women do not earn productively in this sense while turning into negative freedom using isolation, how they become productive. Yes. So the productivity comes from the revenues that they earn from YouTube. I'm not talking about any woman who is doing the household chores. I'm talking about women on YouTube. That is, if women are recording their intimate act of sweeping, mopping, cooking, if women are recording those acts and putting them on YouTube and monetizing it, right, then they are making the work productive because they will be earning revenue from it, right? So in that sense, I meant that the unproductive, work is now turned into labor, and for labor you are paid for, right? So in that sense, if it is monetized, if that work is monetized through a platform like YouTube, in that sense, I meant that it becomes productive. I hope I answered it. Okay. Next question is, why
yeah, this
women
is another
parents as a
question.
whole plays important role in a society or community. Yeah, because we are part of it and we have been given these different roles. Perhaps because of that, they play important role. But I remember when I was actually writing my PhD thesis, and even slightly before that. So I was, studying a lot of books on gender. So there's one book called The Private Property by Friedrich Engels. So who was a colleague of Karl Marx. Unfortunately, we'll talk more about Marx, not Friedrich Engels. So Friedrich Engels wrote this book, The Private Property. So over there, he was using an anthropologist's, research and building his own argument. So that anthropologist's research was about this: that in the prehistoric time, okay, women were not bound to the home. Okay, so women were not bound to the home in the prehistoric times. Women were the ones who would go out of the home and then, find food, etc. Right? So that was the role of women. And the moment, according to Engels and that research by that anthropologist, the moment private property came into existence, somehow man became the owner of that private property, and then man then started started exercising his power over woman, in the sense that because private property is his, okay, and that private property needs to be then given to somebody else after marriage. And this was another fact, that in those times, women were not bound with just one person, one male person, right? They could be intimately related to anybody or anybody, okay, simultaneously with several people, right? So that's why, according to that book and research, that's why lineage of a progeny would be traced back from the woman's side, not from the man's side. Okay, so all that gets changed when the private property comes into being, right? So when we say that women play important role, what I was saying, that the entire maintenance of social order is on women's shoulder. That is because this has happened historically. Private property came into existence historically, and because the private property then needs to be transferred to some other person after the owner of the private property dies, that's why that owner, who happens to be male, needs to ensure purity of the progeny. That's why woman's relationship with other men needs to be chopped off. Okay. So when the private property came into being, then the woman, according to Friedrich Engels, started to be subjected by and started to build the social order on her shoulder. That's on her shoulders. That's why, perhaps, if I answer this question, why women parents has a whole important role in society or community, that's why women become burdened with the social responsibility of maintenance of social order. Okay, I hope I answered this question. But that does not mean that because private property has come into being and women have lost it. It does not mean that. In our contemporary world, there are societies. For instance, in the northeastern part of India, there are several societies. For instance, in Meghalaya society, right? So in those societies, you will see that it is the woman, when she gets married, so it is the man who is sent away from his family and then goes to live with woman's family. So this still happens in our time, in 21st century, in 2021, right? So there are these different traditions which still exist. Okay, so these customs are still there, and the lineage is traced back not from father's side, who has been sent to live with the wife's family in wife's house. It is not traced from his side. It is traced from the mother side. So the last name of such a child from such a parent is not father's last name. It is the last name of the mother, the last name of his or her maternal uncle. Okay, so these customs are still there, even though private property exists since ages. Now the next question is, okay, how is the education system doing in terms of accommodating women? Okay, yeah, it's a valid question. Unfortunately, uh, since several years now, unfortunately, the problem that we are facing is that certain type of ideologies have come to rule the world, and I'm not talking about just India. Right, in India, of course, right wing ideology is ruling the government. Okay, so right wing, when we say right wing ideology, then you simply understand that right wing ideology means it will marginalize women, it will marginalize already marginalized people, right, lower caste people. It will marginalize the minorities. For instance, in India, Muslims, Christians, right? So right wing ideologies function is this: they will do like this. Not just this, they will also destroy the education system, right? They will also bring those laws which will not be people in the welfare of people, right? So all those things will come. So it's a trend which we can see happening all over the world, in which these ideologies are taking over democratic systems, and that's why you will see that women's participation in education system is now being reduced. I'm not saying it was all good previously also there were shortcomings, but now consciously education system is being destroyed, as far as women and poor people are concerned, right? So in education system, unfortunately, women are not doing well. Okay, I teach at engineering institution. So in engineering, traditionally, you will not see women as there is a number of men. Okay, next question. I hope I answered it. Next question. How does gender stereotyping affect the low representation of women in YouTube channels with the highest number of views and subscribers? Okay, but I'm not sure which kind of gender stereotyping are you talking about, Manolita White? What type of gender stereotyping are you talking about? But this is also a fact. I agree with the Manolita that this is a fact that somehow even on YouTube you will see the representation of women is still low. It has started increasing just now, but it has been low. Why? Because traditionally women are not, considered tech savvy. Now they are breaking the barriers. Okay. Now they are coming to the forefront, right? So somehow the gender stereotype of women not tech savvy is being broken, but it is a gradual process. So they are doing it very gradually. Okay. And thankfully they're excelling at it, right? From India also you have a lot of YouTube, women YouTubers, right? So in that sense there is low representation, but of course, with the low representation we can see a change is happening.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. So that there is no question for you right now.
Okay,
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your time. Definitely, sir. I will definitely invite you for next topics because you are just amazing. So, with your permission,
thank you.
if you allow, then we can invite you.
Yeah, yeah, sure, sure, sure. And actually I'm also curious about Bangladesh, and I would like to visit. Yeah.
Yeah, you already told that. Okay, so definitely, sir. We have lots of plan for the future, for the
Mm,
society also. So definitely, we'll see you again, sir. Thank you,
okay.
sir.
Thank you. And again, my thanks to my friend Amitabh Vikram Dwivedi who suggested my name, and also Shavik Datta. Oh, sorry, Kaushik Datta. I'm so sorry. I had a senior called Shavik, so I confused Kaushik
No,
Datta
no,
and
no.
IGP for giving me this opportunity, and obviously to the audiences who listened to me and gave their feedback in terms of their queries and questions. And I'm delighted to have presented here. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Dear learners, now it's time for certification process. So I'm not going to pass anything, just move to the directly certification process. Because as you know that how can you claim your certificate? So this is the code for certification today. This is the code for today's certificate. Yes, I have some problem with my uh, body. I'm in physical condition, so that's the reason today. This is the code 1247. This is the code for today's certification. This is the code for today's certification 1247. 1247. And after 7 hours, we will see you again on our next topics: gamification, the future of distance learning. After 7 hours, right now. This is the evening session. So see you there tonight. Thank you. And if you have any kinds of query, please contact with our page inbox or in the comment section, because our core team members will definitely reach to you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.